in May. It is 7:04 p.m. I know I'm like 4 minutes late, but that's okay. I was playing Apex a little bit before this. So I have LemonPledge here on the line with me right now. We are about to kind of talk about him a little bit. Um, so I'm gonna give him, about maybe I would say maybe like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just for you to kind of introduce yourself to everyone and talk about yourself for a little bit. And then we'll get right into the questions. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, you can go right ahead and do that.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm Lemon Pledge. That is a nickname between um, my last name and a nickname I got in college, and it's kind of just stuck. And so when I was thinking about back in 2020, thinking about starting a streaming channel and whatnot, that's the name I ended up going with. But I guess in terms of like my streaming background and whatnot, if anyone is familiar with the Total War franchise, that is kind of where I started. But I've played a little bit of everything. I've played RTS, I've played RPGs, third-person shooters, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of have a wide range of games that I really do like playing. I am married. I have been married for just over a year now, going on 2, and a 1.5-year-old daughter in the good old Midwest. But yeah, I do a lot of gaming. I do work full time, and I stream, when I can, and I kind of do a little bit of everything. Kind of just depends on my mood. And I do also do some mod testing for some games. So I'm kind of a little bit of everywhere, but it's really fun. I really enjoy that aspect of it because it's allowed me to meet a lot of different people across streaming, across YouTube, Twitch, whatever it may be. And I really do love meeting new people, forming those relationships, and just getting more perspectives about the world and streaming and whatnot. So I really do enjoy hanging out with new groups of people. And with that, thank you for having me on, and I hope that everyone has a good time being here tonight.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool that you do so many different things, probably many different skill sets as well. Because for me, it's like I like to be a jack of all trades, have multiple skills, but I do struggle in some aspects as well.
Right.
Um, so we're gonna hop right into the questions. We'll start with the first one.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you do? You already pretty much mentioned a lot of it, but outside of streaming, what else would you typically do? Because I know you mentioned, of course, like a good bit of it, but what is something that you do like every day? Like, can you tell me what your day looks like when you're not streaming?
Yeah. So usually, I work. I get up around 5:40 in the morning every day because I do work from about 6:30 ish, 6:40 ish in the morning till about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Granted, I am the manager of where I do work, and so it's kind of nice that it gives me that flexibility of if I kind of have my work stuff done for that day or for the week, I kind of can leave whenever I want to. It's kind of my prerogative as to when I want to leave, which is nice. But yeah, usually on days that I don't stream are kind of like my family days to be really. And so me and my wife have kind of worked it out that way. We have that work life streaming balance. That way, I'm not neglecting one aspect of my life for another, which is it's a really good balance. I think we found a good balance just in terms of making sure that we're not burnt out on one thing versus the other. And so usually those are Tuesday and Thursdays are kind of like my days off from streaming, and then depending on what we're doing that weekend, I might have the weekend off from like gaming or streaming. But usually I always end up streaming at least once, if not both days. So it kind of just depends there. But yeah, it's definitely nice too to kind of step away and have those days where you don't have to like, oh, I'm going to work and then I'm going to stream. That way, especially if you're having a rough day at work or whatever, you have those days to kind of reset and refresh yourself.
I gotcha. So, like, would you say you stream every day, or is it like a spur of the moment type thing, or is it just like once every few, like, do you have a schedule already set out, or?
Yeah, I definitely have a schedule. Right now with our housing situation, I would definitely do more streaming if I could, if I had like my own office basically. But right now, I do stream Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays every week. I'm in the Midwest, so I'm in the Central Time Zone. So for anyone that may be wondering when the heck that is, I usually end up starting my streams from roughly around, on average, probably like 7:30 p.m. CST, and then I go to about 10:30 p.m., so about 3 hours. And that's usually just when, because of where my PC is set up right now, our walls and our place are very thin. So I do my best to make sure my wife gets some sleep, and since I get up early for work, it's kind of a good stopping point. That way I make sure I give myself some sleep. But then on the weekends, it's fairly nice because I don't have to stream that late. I don't have to get up early. So depending on what we're doing, if we're just staying home for the weekend, I usually stream Saturdays out of more than Sundays, but sometimes I'll stream again on both. But usually I do like 12 p.m. Central Time to about 4:30 p.m. The only thing that really that varies in terms of my streaming schedule is just the game I'm gonna play. Like kind of a catch-22. I like a lot of different games. The problem with that with a streaming schedule is, what do you then decide to stream? Because obviously, when it comes to streaming video games, you kind of build up an audience of a select game or genre. So then when you play out of that genre, those streams can kind of struggle a little bit. But I like it because it keeps everything fresh. You're able to, coming back to meeting new people, you're able to meet new people and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that completely, because over time of playing like the same game over and over, you do kind of get like the certain people that come to your streams a lot, but the moment you stream something different, there's like those people don't come back unless you're streaming a certain game. So it's always good to also set like what game you're playing for a certain day, or at least like let people know ahead so that they're not like, oh, like what is going on here?
Right. And I'm the same way. I always try and make sure that my community knows that, hey, I'm not, this is what I'm playing today, just letting you know. Because definitely, like, growing up, I've been playing the Total War series since I was 7 years old, which, if you guys don't know what it is, it's basically a historical, like, war game that's turn-based. And I got into it because my dad was a huge, huge history nerd, basically. And so he got that game, and then I started playing it when I was 7. And now I'm 28, so I've been playing it for a very long time. And so when I started streaming, it was one of the Total War games, of course. It did not do too well. The company started burning a lot of bridges with the community. And for example, why I even started playing other games was because every time I would play a Total War game, everyone just wanted to, talk and complain about how bad the game was doing, basically. So I'm like, okay, I need to step back. I need to find something else, because I didn't want to stop streaming, because I love interacting with the new people. But yeah, it was just it was kind of eye-opening, but also at the same time, I'm much happier now because of it.
That's good. That's wonderful. It's always good to, try new things. Ruin in the chat says, "Let's go scavin." What is scaven?
Let's go scavin? Yeah, there you go, man.
I know nothing about like Warhammer or anything like that, so I have no idea.
It's they're like backstabbing mutated rats that will even backstab themselves, but they're also very deadly and very fun to play with. So there you go, man. I'm glad we got
Do you, so wait, with Warhammer, I know like someone, when it comes to, isn't there like little things you can build and paint, or am I thinking of something else?
No, you are. It's so there's the tabletop version, and that's what the video games are based off of, and I believe it's owned by Games Workshop, in which the company that creates the actual video games is Creative Assembly. And so Creative Assembly pays to have the rights to those icons and that kind of, and names and everything like that. So, but yeah, there's definitely a huge audience for that, that still does the board stuff, and that's, again, where it mostly came from. But like, for me, when I got into it, I just knew it was another Total War game. I didn't know there was any of that, and kind of like if anyone's familiar with Lord of the Rings, there's the movies, but then you also have the books and all that fantasy lore behind it, and there are so many books about Warhammer, and again, I just thought it was another video game that Total War decided to make. Didn't know there was any of this huge detail behind it. So it's been really nice to kind of learn that, on the way. But yeah, I think for like 2 characters, there's 14 books for 2 characters.
God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And
Oh, God.
yeah. And it goes from, in terms of like war, I guess, from like Sword and Shield all the way up to, it's called Warhammer 40K. So it's the same premise of Warhammer, but it's 40,000 years into the future. So it's all those creatures, all those things, but basically with machine guns. So
Interesting. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just know of it because my ex's roommate used to buy, like, they both used to buy like a bunch of Warhammer, and they would just like paint and like
Oh,
dude was
yeah.
literally so into it, and I could not get into it. Like, personally, it is not a thing for me, but
No,
it's definitely interesting for like people to get into a hobby like that, because I definitely cannot. So
yeah, no.
do you collect anything like that?
No, I never got into it on that side. Same with like Warhammer 40K, but like I think for me that's just kind of my background. Like when I started playing Total War, it was the first game I ever played was called Rome Total War, which is just about the Roman time period of like Rome basically becoming Rome and whatnot. So like for me, up until like all these fantasy games started coming out from Creative Assembly through the Total War franchise, it was bow and arrow, sword and shield, and then same thing when I started even playing Warhammer, and now it sounds like the company is like the next big game I guess they're gonna make is Warhammer 40K. But I'm like, for me, I've been playing Total War for 20 years with basically a bow and arrow, sword and shield. I don't want to play that with a machine gun. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be
Yeah, no,
interesting.
every time you say Sword and Shield, like, my first thought is like Pokemon Sword and Shield. Because like I played, that's like one of the
Right.
first ones. I say the first ones, but it's not that I played like Pokemon wise. So like when you say Sword and Shield, like my mind goes
Right.
straight to that. That's probably where they got it from. Honestly, they probably got it from Warhammer. Warhammer. I said Warhammer, but yeah, like
No, you're good.
that's pretty neat. So of course, like, I already know like what your job is.
Yep.
Of course you don't have to tell everyone what it is, but I
Yeah.
already know what it is. Do you have Sundays off because of your job typically?
Yes, yeah. So my like being the boss, like I don't have a set schedule, but if I had one, it's basically Monday through Friday from like 7 to 4 o'clock.
Okay.
And so and that's where, again, as the head honcho there, it's kind of up to my discretion. On Fridays, usually I end up, especially if it's been a long week, on Fridays I usually basically ditch pretty early. That way, if I've been stuck at work or I haven't been able to work on a video or I haven't streamed much that week because of it, I usually try and make it up to my community, to the people that watch me, and then also my family. That way it's not just working. Sorry, I gotta go stream. And that way it's really nice because in my previous position I didn't have that, and so if I was working longer hours, I was just working longer hours and I was stuck with it. So it's been more or less a godsend that I kind of have that flexibility, especially with trying to stream.
I gotcha. Yeah, because like I asked if you have Sundays off because like no one delivers on Sunday.
Right.
So or they mail. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I got you.
So how long have you been at you already like said a lot of it, like how long you've been at the job, and is it something that you enjoy doing? Is it something you want to do like for the rest of your life? Do you have like an end goal to it, or like do you have any kind of future goals? Like, do you see yourself working at your job for the rest of your life, or is there something more that you would like to do?
A lot of the good thing about the position I'm in is a lot of it is like the people to people relationships. and I've always been a very social person, and so other than like the computer and paperwork side of stuff, the people interaction, the person to person interaction is something I love doing. And the work itself, other than the product that we handle, it's not necessarily the product that really does it for me, but it's just the logistical side of stuff. I've always kind of been in that work since I was 15, and I've just enjoyed that. And so, yeah, I think, if put a gun to my head thinking about it, like I could easily do that job forever. I think it really just, it comes down to the people, that work for you and with you. And it's, as long as I continue to knock on wood, I hope they think I'm a good boss. But, as long as I keep doing a good job and I keep being told I'm doing a good job, then I hope I keep creating that, positive environment that people want to work with me kind of thing. So, because it's all, especially in the position I'm in, it's all how you treat people. And, I've been in situations where I've had some great bosses, and I've been in situations where I've had a terrible boss, so it's been nice to kind of have those experiences before I got into it. But I guess in terms of what I want to do outside of that wouldn't work, streaming, man. Like, I don't know, like when I tried it, or when I first started, I didn't think anything of it. And then once I started, basically just getting out there more, putting yourself out there, at that time it was just YouTube and Discord, but just, having the balls basically to just join other Discords, to, join other YouTube channels, start messaging people, and, once I finally got over that hump and started meeting new people, it was just eye-opening, and it's something I love doing, and it's something I hope I can continue doing.
Absolutely. Because, like, so this is probably a very personal question, but did you get, like, a degree and you were like, oh, like, what is your background when it comes to schooling, like your education and stuff like that? Like, did you get a degree in something different? Did you end up, like, just completing high school and was like, what, no college? Or, like, what was your, like, education background like?
Yeah, no, it's the degree I have is in business management, so it's in what I'm currently doing. And looking back, who knows what it would have happened if I didn't do it, but basically, like when I was in high school, they're like, oh, all you need to do is get good grades, go to college, get a degree, and you'll get a good job. And so I was like, okay. I was like, well, what do I like doing? Which at the time it was sports marketing. I played sports in high school. I played sports in college. And so I was like, okay, like I like sports. I want to stay in sports, so let's do marketing. I like the people-to-people aspect. And then like junior year of college, it changed to basically every place saying, hey, we don't care what your name says on a piece of paper. We want experience. And so I'm like, okay. Yeah. And, then I graduated, and I'm looking at all these, entry-level positions that are looking for 2 to 3 years of experience. And I'm like, This is utter bullshit. Like,
I completely get that. Oh my God. Literally, I was looking at the other day, and I'm about to graduate, and like I'm getting my degree in writing, like creative writing. And it's like, oh, you have to have 2+ years experience of writing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Like, I was a full-time college athlete, and I was going to school full-time. Like, where was I supposed to find, 30 more hours in the week to be working for the last 2 or 3 years? And so... Yeah,
especially like an internship. Like, either way, it's like... Right. For my degree, the internship is actually not necessary.
Nice,
so...
nice.
No, it's not nice. It's horrible.
But I mean, like,
horrible.
But I mean, like, it's nice in the fact, like, it's not a dead set requirement. Like, for me, though, I mean, luckily I had a background, going into college with what I was ended up doing now, basically. So, like, I was like, well, crap, like, I can't do what I really want to do, so at least I have this experience. So then, that's what I was doing, basically, to pay my bills. And then, life happens, and now I'm here, doing what I was doing when I was 15 years old, basically. Now I'm just managing it, but it's but it's just it was just a whole like I've talked to my wife about it, and I go back and forth. I'm like, why did I waste 4 years of my college career or my life, and
Yep.
I'm in good old college debt. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, if I didn't go there though, all the people that I met and that I'm best friends with now, I never would have met them. All the things that happened, basically from college on forward would have potentially never happened. So like, it's always that what if game at that point. It's just if it's worth being up to your neck in debt about it. So, but yeah, believe me, it was. I'm right there with you, and all I can tell you is good luck.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna need a lot of it. I mean, like again, like I had a interview aligned, like I had it lined up. Or technically like okay, so it's weird. So usually I typically get like emails from my school and it's like, oh, like this is what's going on right now. Like there's readings because like since I am a writing major, I get a bunch of like, oh, you can go to this reading. There's people reading their poetry, people reading this, that. And I got an email saying, oh, there's a guy, like a screenwriter, looking for someone to be an assistant position for him, but also help him write something that he's working on. So I was like, oh, that seems awesome. And the requirement was to be at least like undergraduate or graduate preferred, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, like that seems great. So I emailed him. He emailed me back right away. And we planned to go, I forgot what, it was on Sunday because I was like, hey, like Sunday would be good. It would give me enough time. Like I'm in college. Like, of course, I'm so busy. So we planned for Sunday. I get there. I'm sitting there for an hour. Like I sit there for an hour waiting for him to show up and he's an hour late. And I'm like, okay, like what the hell is going on? So he emailed me. He was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, here's my number. And I called him and he told me, oh, like there was an emergency. Like my dog, like something about his dog. There was a vet emergency and we rescheduled to that Tuesday. So I was like, okay, like Tuesday, it's set, it's planned. So Tuesday rolls around and he emails me that morning and he's like, oh, like, I'm sorry, like I had to go to LA, like I had to take a flight to LA. So because like something came up early, blah, blah, blah. So he was like, yeah, like I'm gonna have to cancel our meeting. And I'm like, okay, well, like I thought it was like an indefinite thing. Like I thought he was gonna be gone like the rest of the year or whatever. So I was like,
Right.
okay, well, like when I graduate, maybe we can talk and I can see about like maybe an entry position or like something that he can help me out with. Cause like I have his number now, I have like a contact. So, but then he was like, no, like I come back on Friday. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like then we can plan another meeting for maybe like the week after. So yesterday was Friday. Um, and he never got back to me. And I'm like, okay, like I'll give you till Monday to get back to me. Because I would love to have this position. Like it's literally $20+ an hour. It's like 30 hours a week, 20, 30 hours a week. And probably will get paid weekly. And I feel like it's going to be worth my time. So, because like it would be a lot more than what I make now because I work part-time as a barista at a boba tea shop and I make like $11 an hour. So it's like a huge difference. But also at the same time, becoming an assistant to a screenplay writer would give me that experience I need for when I graduate.
Right.
So I'm like, I need this. Like, please, I need this.
Yeah. I mean,
that's why I'm like on top of it.
No, definitely. I mean, that's one thing too. I've learned is if people like that, like I'm always skeptic of them, people like that because it's one thing like if you keep harping on them, great, and just be relentless with it because especially I mean it's your life, like if they just try and ghost you, more or less, like they'll be like, okay, cool, Ashie's not messaging me anymore. Don't have to worry about it. And like, who knows? Like, I've had some friends like have a really rough go of it, and but like I would say 90% of my friends either are still working for the same company they did in college when they had
Mm-hmm.
they did an internship with them, or they're not working in a field that they got their degree in and have a job
Mm-hmm.
doing something, or they're doing something out of their degree only because they knew someone who was hiring, and now they're doing that full time.
Yeah, I know that they say like a degree, like it can be used for anything else. So like once you get your degree,
Yep.
like it can be used anywhere.
Right.
That's what I learned. But also depends also on experience.
It's I talked about it on my stream a few times, and
Hmm.
it was, I guess now that I have I started a YouTube channel and now I'm on Kick
Hmm.
too, like I don't know, like fate, irony, but in college when I went in, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do business management and like focus on marketing. That's gonna be my
Hmm.
thing. I love sports, whatever. And then over time, I was still playing Total War stuff, so I was still getting my history, fix in. And in my history classes, I had three different history professors over my course there, and all of them were like, "Hey, man, like you should like really contemplate about getting like a history like major, like double majoring. It's like you're really good at this stuff." And I'm
Hmm.
like, no, I was like, it's not really my thing. But I had started getting into PC gaming at that time. So then I was taking a
Hmm.
lot more, PC courses and stuff like that. But I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool, but it's not really for me right now, I don't think. And then lo and behold, a year and a half after I graduate, I started a YouTube channel. And, all this PC stuff that I kind of blew off, in college would have been nice to have because I mean, I have one buddy from college who that's what he does is just programming. He does app
Hmm.
programming, and he's like, dude, I never have to worry about a job for the rest of my life. I was like, I can get fired today and have a job tomorrow somewhere else. Like that's just crazy.
Hmm. Well, I get that because I have an associate's in science. Um, like 2 years of college, I had my associate's in science, and I was going to be a computer science major, for a focus in digital arts because I wanted to be a video game developer. That was my my set goal. That was my plan. And then one day I was taking my one of the classes, and I was like, you know what? It was discrete math. It was just I love math, but discrete math was just I couldn't do it. I was literally taking it during the summer, so of course it was faster
Oh,
than it should have
good
been.
lord.
Um yeah, and it was in person, and we had like a quiz, and he was like, "Oh, you can share your answers with everyone else." And no one wanted to share their answers with me, so I was like confused by everything, and I had like a 70 in the class within like the first month, or like the first couple weeks, and I was like, you know what, this is not worth it. This is not worth continuing the major for.
Yep.
This is not like I did intro to coding, like I did Python,
Yep.
and I didn't know what I was doing at all,
Yep.
not at all, and I was like,
Same.
you know what, this is not for me. I can't do it. So I loved writing anyways. Like I enjoyed writing throughout like when elementary school to middle school.
Yeah.
And like I've always had like a passion for the creative like arts in general. When it came to like painting, drawing, writing, anything in that way. So I was like, you know what? And plus like I have ADHD. So it's like of course like I excelled at something. Besides like my me talking so much, I excelled at the arts and creative stuff. So, yeah, so like I ended up switching majors, and honestly, like I can see such a difference. Like I've seen like I feel like I'm myself more than I was before, but also I'm scared because like before I had a set plan of what I wanted to
Right.
do. But since I switched to majors and I'm about to graduate, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. I have no idea. Like I definitely don't want to get into the publishing industry because I know everything about the publishing industry now and I don't like it.
Right.
Um, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. Like I have no idea. I like to write. Maybe I could write a book, but it's like trying to figure out. Like I've sent in a bunch of like stuff I want to get published. Still waiting to hear back. I only sent it in a few days ago.
Right.
But I hopefully hear
I mean,
back soon.
I,
But
I mean that's. I can tell you that right now. That would be more balls than I could ever do. So,
yeah,
I
I mean, if I
mean,
get something that's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's not put, that's fine. Like I can always
yeah.
send it to other people. So
Right.
Because like there's gonna be like many no's but only a few yeses, and I'm
Right.
okay with that.
Right.
Like I don't mind. Like I'll just do what Stephen King did. I'll just do what Stephen King did. I'll print out all of my rejected letters and I'll hang them
Right.
on the wall
There you go.
and
I mean, honestly, like
look at
even
them, just stare at them.
I mean, really, like I mean, you could apply that to I feel like everything, like streaming or a job. Like it takes for like half of my friends, that are working in an industry that they didn't even go to college for, and it's just happened to be something they've done. Like it took one person for them to take them on. Like I can't tell you how many streamers like I've seen on YouTube kick where they're a nobody, and then
Mm-hmm.
this one streamer raised them one time, and they have a really good stream, and now they go from 5 viewers to 60, and
Well, that's
and then
because
it's
networking is a big deal.
right,
Networking
right.
is a huge thing. And it's also why I recommend, like, not really recommend, it's more like I go to all these conventions because I
Right.
really enjoy networking. Because I've been to so many, like, I've paid so much money out of pocket just to go to these conventions because I love networking with other
Oh
people
yeah, for
and
sure.
seeing people in person and talking to them. Not saying like talking to them this way is not bad or whatever, but I just enjoy having a face-to-face conversation and getting to know people in that way and like making memories with these people so that like they'll remember who I am as well. Like, oh, you know what? Like they'll say to other people, oh, she was a really nice person and in person she was really nice, she was really sweet, like blah 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 blah. Like I want them to say that about me. I want them to know that I am a good person. And it's not like me just trying to like raise myself up or make it seem like, oh, I'm forcing them to say this or whatever. It's more like I just want them to look at me in a good light versus like a horrible light, because you've seen so many of these kick streamers being put out and they're horrible ass
Oh my
people.
god.
Oh my
They're
God. Like they
gutter
are so
trash.
horrible. They are
No.
so horrible. And I
Like
want them to think, oh, like this is only a few bad apples. But there are also good people. And I want to be part of that crowd that is the good people, because I feel like the fact that they're pushing up the bad people is disgusting. And I feel like they need to work on that shit. They need to
no.
work on it.
I
And the fact that
100% agree.
and the
100%.
fact that they're just like it's so funny to me because Kick is like, oh, this is a new platform. We've only been around for like 16 months or a year or whatever. And I'm like, dude, like, and yet you've done nothing but push the worst people.
Yeah,
You need to
no.
work on fixing that. That is, of course, like I understand you're gonna have like problems here and there, but this is a time to turn things around. This is a time when people are telling you something, you need to do something about it. Like
No, no, I agree. Like, I mean, granted, YouTube's obviously a lot more strict with their content than, Kick is. But, for me, regardless, like, okay, I was playing Total War, games. So,
yeah.
like, when I was getting into it, I was watching other Total War streamers, see how they interacted with their communities, took notes, that kind of stuff. And, and I know, but, like, obviously, YouTube, you could play any game and do it. Same thing on Twitch, same thing on Kick. And I really feel like I love the fact that they have the just chatting category, um,
Mm-hmm.
and the hot tub stuff. Whatever floats your boat. If you're into that, go for it. You know,
I have that shit turned off. No,
yeah,
bro,
yeah,
I'm good.
same. I turned it off right away,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's there. And the thing is too, and like I will say on Kick's behalf. Okay, that sounds bad. Not on Kick's behalf, but like trying to just give them a benefit of the doubt. All of that stuff is on Twitch. All of it's on YouTube too. They
Yeah.
just don't have an open category for it. So
Mm-hmm.
like I know when Kick first launched, it was just it's where Aiden Ross and Neon and all these trash people
Mm-hmm.
are going to spewing their garbage, and then you can occasionally see a chick in a bikini. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you can still do that on Twitch. You can still do that on YouTube. It's and so like, but other than that, aside from that though, they're 100%. Their accountability is absolute garbage,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, it's just like anything. If people want to search it, they can search it. They can watch it. You know, they want to come to Kick and watch that stuff. You know, that's their prerogative. But like when I think of streaming personally, and like I know I won't be, you know, 100% right on this. This is my personal take. When I think of streaming, making content, I think of podcasts. I think of video games. I think of collaborations. I don't think of, you know, I don't start my stream and say, all right, guys, we're going to go into the just chatting category, and Ashie's streaming today, so we're going to stream her stream and just and shit on her today, you know, or whatever. Or we're just going to
so they're recording like actual like TV shows or movies, or they're doing like, or what is it? I mean, nothing against like artists or painters or whatever, but just like sitting there like, I don't know, I mean, shout out to the people who are doing like musical instruments and stuff. Is there a different one for that? Like, is it just chatting, or is there like a whole?
I think they created one that it's just music.
Okay, sick.
Yeah, but like the problem with that, it's not a problem with the category. It's that, you know, there are just so few people that use it, unless, you know, big streamers in it is in it. It doesn't pop up.
People take advantage of it. I mean, like people take advantage of different things.
If you go to browse without clicking on a category, it should be right on top. It says music.
Yeah, I'll probably pull it up right now.
Yep. And then it has music stations, live DJ, live music, stuff like that.
Sure. Oh, yeah, I see. There's also gambling, bro.
Yeah. And I will say, again, not on Kick's behalf, but like I guess defending Kick in some way, you know. I know people are like, oh, you're just giving your money, you know, you're signing up to stream on a site that promotes gambling and, you know, hot tub stuff. And it's like, one, you can mute all that stuff, and I never see it. I don't get advertised with it. It was never a advertising thing. And like, I'm sure YouTube CEOs, Twitch CEOs, you know, aren't the cleanest people either. So it's like, you know, like, not that it doesn't matter where the financial backing to a company comes from, but I was like, if, you know, where's the gaslighting on, you know, YouTube, on Twitch of people doing things, you know?
They have a section called tarot, like tarot cards?
Yeah.
Dude, what?
Yeah. I've seen one recently, too, of like trading cards, like for Pokemon, like Yu-Gi-Oh!
What?
Oh, yeah.
That's insane. That's insane. Yeah, I'm looking at the recommended, or like the browsing, and of course, like, what?
No, one popped up
Where am I? Where am I? Where am I at?
There was a guy who, he had like 2,500 people watching him opening up new Pokemon packs.
Really? Dude, I do that crap all the time without streaming it.
Yeah.
I do it with, dude, I used to buy them all the time. You should see my entire section of like Pokemon cards. I have so many.
Mine from when I was a kid.
I have so freaking many.
Yeah, that was God,
I did a TikTok video of me just I did a TikTok video of me just organizing my cards.
Nice.
Because I like to organize. Sorry, like we are so going off topic, but anyways. So what do you like to typically stream? Because I know you said yours like different games, but what is something that you feel like is your go-to the most? Like, what is, like, when you think of like streaming that day, what is your like first game thought? You know, like you're like, oh, you know, I feel like streaming this today, you know, like what is that game that you go to the most?
Probably something within the Total War franchise. Mainly like one, I mean, I've been playing it for 20 years, but that's what I ended up building initially my YouTube channel on. And so if I'm like, you know, if I just had a long day and I want to basically make sure people will show up to a stream and interact, I was like, that's what I'll stream. Now when it comes to the game, it just varies. Right now it's Warhammer 3. They just came out with a new update to their game, and I know previously I mentioned they've had a rough patch for about a year. The company was doing some really shoddy things. They laid off a bunch of people. They mainly their biggest downfall in the last year was they tried to make a Fortnite Call of Duty competitor, which I know the community and big time streamers for Total War were like, this is a terrible idea. I was like, you are about 10 to 15 years too late to get into this market. It was, and they released like one trailer on it. It was super cartoony. It was really terrible, and it didn't even launch, but they had already spent the money on it, and it was like $100 million.
Yeah.
So the company took money from the Total War franchise, which was making them loads and loads of money. They started neglecting it because they were moving staff from their Total War franchise to work on this, RTS, shooter game.
Mm-hmm.
That they spent all the money, the $100 million. They released a video. They realized that their profits were way down. They laid off a bunch of people, and then they just killed the project. But they'd already spent the money. And that was, I think, just about a year ago now. And so the company itself is going through basically a lot of layoffs, a lot of restructuring, and they're basically doing right by the players now. And so this last DLC that came out has been fantastic. Of course, there are some minor issues here and there, but the content that they delivered was pretty freaking good. Right now, I'm kind of curious if I go to their player numbers. So yeah, about a week ago, I think is when it released. It was averaging like 10,000 people playing on a low day, and now it's averaging about 45,000 people playing. And so
Jeez.
and like when the game first like it's Warhammer 3. It's a trio title. And it's like the last Warhammer game they're gonna make. I know their contract, their license or whatever with Games Workshop has ended, which is why they're looking into like a Warhammer 40K or something like that, because they don't want to basically spend the money on a new contract. And so everyone is expecting this one to be just the best basically. So it's but I also recently for one of the Total War games, there is a mod for a Lord of the Rings mod that is in development, and I've recently became a tester for it, as in like
Sick.
As in like 3 days ago, and it's on a like newer Total War game, so the graphics are a lot better, that kind of thing. And so I've been diving into that quite a bit. I'm really excited for it. It's cool because I started playing like a different mod, but it was a different Lord of the Rings mod back in like 2013. And I was just like, I feel like they could do more here. And I ended up joining like the Discord for that one, and they were like, the whole mentality, I guess, of that mod was just like, we've kind of done what we want with it. Like, we'll do stuff here and there, but I mean, it's like, dude, it's Lord of the Rings. Like, it's just money. I mean, it's a mod. They're not getting paid for it. But, like, I mean, it's not like people are not going to play it. And so I'm really excited for this one. And, yeah, it's a very exciting time. For me, anyway. But no, it's between that and probably Warhammer 3 is where I'm at. And I was playing Call of Duty quite a bit when I came to Kick. I was like, just...
Who didn't? Who wasn't playing
yeah.
Call of Duty on Kick?
Right. And, well, like, I mean, when I was on YouTube doing Warhammer 3, it was when it basically shit hit the fan. And people were, I still love the game. I played, Total War for almost all my life. But every time I streamed, it was just, hey, let's, like, focus on what's good and what's fun with it. It was just, what do you think about this shit thing going on? Or did you hear about this happening? And I was like, you know what? I was like, I gotta try something new, or so I'm gonna stop playing this altogether. And so that's why I was like, okay, I'll try Kick out. Tried Warhammer over on Kick, and it just doesn't work out. And so I was like, you know what? I'll try Call of Duty. And I'm terrible at the game. I will be straight up honest with you all. If anyone's looking for a solid like 5-6 kill partner, you're looking at them. I ain't gonna be dropping any 20 bombs.
Use you
by
as a
any
body
means.
shield. I got you.
Yeah.
Body
You know,
shield, bro.
I'll distract. You know, someone's gonna do the distractor.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing for like Apex. I'm like, bro, if you're a noob, I got you. You know, you'll be the distractor. You'll be the distraction. It'll be fun. Like focus on them. I'll shoot at you, but focus on them.
That's right. You know, everyone's got to play their part. But no, the funny thing is though, like I love Total War because I love the game and also love the people. Call of Duty, like I haven't touched it in a long time, but like tonight after your podcast here, I'm playing with some friends just because I love, you know, playing with my friends, you know, that I've met through Call of Duty, through Kick, you know, that kind of thing. So it makes it fun that way, basically. But yeah.
Hell yeah. So I love how like we've already answered so many of these questions.
I know.
But we're gonna
I was like, oh shit, we're just rolling into it.
We're still gonna go over that. We're still gonna do that.
Yeah, no, I got you. You're good.
So how is your YouTube channel doing? Like, is it doing well? How is it going on YouTube?
Yes and no. I haven't really. So, because of what happened with Warhammer 3, like people just weren't watching it. Like even like big time streamers, they definitely saw a decrease in their viewership. Now, granted, like during COVID, video game companies did really well because everyone was at home. You know, for example, like there was some of the big names and there's one really big name, and he would get anywhere from 8 to 10,000 people watching him at a time playing Total War. And then, you know, time goes on, COVID dies down, everything goes on with the game that's going bad, the company's making some bad plays, and it goes from like 8 to 10,000 to like 1 to 2,000. So obviously, if they're seeing that much decrease in viewership, think of the smaller, you know, streamers, that kind of thing. And so between that and within the last 3 years, my family have moved up to Alaska. We've moved back to the lower 48 in Missouri, and now we've moved again. So we've moved 3 times in the last 3 years, and I was just at a point where I'm like, I'm not having fun streaming. I'm starting to hate Total War, and I was like, if I continue this, I'm going to never play it again. So I took like a 4-month break from YouTube, and then started on Kick, and I was like, all right, I'll be on Kick for a little bit, see how that goes. Was on Kick for like a month, and then just kind of took a break from streaming for like 2 months, and then recently just started last week on YouTube again. And so I guess if you factor in the last week, it's doing well. I've gained 10 subscribers since then. But it's kind of hard to tell because I haven't really been trying, I guess, too hard to grow. Because I mean, within the 3 years, I was engaged, didn't have our daughter. Now I'm married. I have a 1.5-year-old. And like when I first started streaming, I was working 50 hours a week and I was streaming 40 hours a week. Don't have the time for that anymore.
No, you do not.
Yeah.
I mean, I completely get that because for as long as I've been streaming, like I of course like had work, I had school, and I still would try my best to stream when I could.
Right.
Even if it was just like random times, I did not have a schedule set. I tried, but of course with work and with classes, like classes were consistent, but with work it was inconsistent. So it was like trying to plan a schedule for streaming was a pain, but I completely understand. Like I get that. Like having a busy schedule, it of course is good to keep yourself busy. But when it's to the point when you start to feel burnt out from everything and you're exhausted all the time and you don't have the energy to actually stream anymore and do something you enjoy doing, that's when it sucks. That's when
No, 100%.
I mean, I tried to quit my job, bro. Like I tried to quit my job because I was like, you know what, streaming's going pretty well. Let me just maybe put in my 2 weeks. And my boss was like, I'll give you less shifts. Like I'll just give you less shifts. It'll be fine. Um, but anyways, like I'll give you less shifts. Please don't quit. Blah blah blah. And I was like,
Right.
okay, fine. I'll keep working. And now it's like I don't stream as often, so I have too much free time. So
Right.
now it's like I just I don't make enough from streaming
Right.
anymore. Like I don't
Right.
make enough at all. So
Right.
now it's like I'm struggling financially and I need to work on streaming a lot more.
And
Not for of
that's
course just the money, but just like I don't know, like I really miss it. I really miss
no.
going live.
Yo,
So,
I'm right there with you. And one thing for me, I think, like when all the negativity started going on with Warhammer and Creative Assembly as a whole, was financially, me and my family were not doing well. So I'm like, okay, like I'm working full time, but like times are still pretty tough. Streaming's not going well, and I got way too concerned with
mm,
um, the monetary side of streaming. I'm like, well, if I'm not gonna have a good stream, you know, in terms of viewers, people aren't gonna talk. People aren't gonna want to, become a member or on YouTube become a member or super chat or hit the subscribe button. I got way too caught up in all that crap.
hmm
I mean, not that it's crap, but it's really easy to lose sight of why you stream if you're only looking at the monetization, the money
hmm
side of it. And so, and I mean, I went cold turkey. Other than on Kick, I wasn't really expecting it to grow, but obviously, I have just gotten over the threshold where people can subscribe, they can donate, but like on YouTube, I turned all that stuff off. Um, I don't allow super chats, which is just like donations, stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
allow memberships. I don't allow any of that stuff because I was like, it's just not something when I stream, I just want to have fun. Whether it's 10, 15 people watching me, whether it's one person, or whether it's just me talking with myself. I don't care. I just want to play a game. I just want to have fun. And all that other stuff just isn't really important to me anymore. And because
hmm
of that, I'm much happier, as a streamer.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
been
turn my
fantastic.
viewership off, bro. Like
Yeah,
I always have my viewers off because I
yeah,
feel like if I see less in a certain amount or like if I feel like there's like no one watching, it would only discourage me. So I
right.
just do my best to like keep it off and not look at it like ever
Yep,
unless I
100%.
randomly see it. But otherwise, like I still do my best to put forth as much effort as I can. Um like sometimes like I won't put a lot of effort because I'm exhausted and I just
Right.
like need more sleep. But Sigil says I used to be like that. I turned it off and it felt better. No, yeah, absolutely. Like I used to keep mine on all the time, or it was forced to be on. Like I had to see it
Right.
because the actual dashboard was there in front of me and I could always see the amount of viewers. And it always like that's what happened during my Facebook days when I streamed on Facebook on the dashboard. You had to see the viewer count
Yep.
and I was constantly in a negative like mindset
Right.
and it was
No,
so
I
bad because I
agree.
was getting so upset at people
Right.
or like I was getting upset in
Yeah.
general.
Oh,
So
I
I just
definitely
like
rage quit a few streams
ugh,
because, like,
like no one's watching.
yeah, for real.
And
And I mean, there were times where, like, I mean, I just had a bad day, or I'm like, okay, like, I had a bad day, but, like, at the time, I think it was Warhammer 3. Warhammer 3 was doing really well before shit hit the fan. So I'm like, all right, had a bad day, but everyone's really enjoying, playing as this character. I'll play as this character. It'll be a great stream. And I rage quit like 35 minutes into it. Deleted it off the VODs, everything. I was like, what the hell? And I mean, the same thing happened when I came to Kick. I mean, at that time, still over on YouTube, I still had 1,500 subscribers. And I was like, I know, like, not everyone's going to come over, but I figured maybe even if 10% of them did, that would, that'd be 150 people. And I think I got 15. And it was just, and again, that was when I was so wrapped up in all the metrics, the analytics, all of that stuff.
yep.
And I was like, dude, you're preaching to other people that video games are meant to be fun and to unwind, whether it's by yourself with friends and and look at yourself and you're basically being a crybaby about it. And I was like, just play video games. It's a freaking game. And I mean, like kind of had brush of cold water in your face, whatever you want to call it. And ever since then, I've just been like, if I have a good stream, I have a good stream. I always do my best to, if people are messaging, and, I do my best to talk with them. I read my chat. But, if it's quiet, it's quiet. It's just, my schedule's, and that's one thing I think that does help with streaming is as long as you have that schedule, even if it's a good stream in terms of viewers or a bad one, people know you're going to be there, and, who knows, someone could be having a bad day too, and your stream is what makes their day better. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of like metrics and analytics, I know like for me, my mod sometimes lets me know like, hey, I looked at your metrics and I noticed that these days are when most of the people join your streams or watch you.
Yep.
And these days are like the best hours, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. So like, it's always like I always recommend people to look at your analytics, look at your metrics, because you'll find out what days are the best for you.
Yep.
And to like go around that. So like again, guys, like definitely look at your metrics, look at your analytics. For example, my best days used to be Tuesdays, Tuesday nights, where I used to stream games on Tuesday nights. And I still stream games on Tuesday nights, but it's not as like popular as it used to be. But yeah, like I always recommend people to do that. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where like it's hard for me just as a person who likes a lot of games, cuz like if I do Warhammer during the week, it's rough cuz the company that makes it is based out of the UK. And so the majority of the player base is in Europe. So when I'm going to work at 7, 8 a.m., by 9, 10 a.m., all of them are getting off work, and that's when they're playing, that's when they're watching. And so when I start streaming at 7:30, Central Time in the U.S., it's, 1 in the morning for most of the people over there. And so, like, but if I do Call of Duty Monday, Wednesday, Friday, those streams do a lot better because, that's kind of a universal game, that's a global, universal, whatever you want to look at it, game. It doesn't matter where in the world you're playing at, you're probably going to get a good turnout. But obviously for me, for example, Warhammer in general, Total War in general is, where in the US, it's like from, depending on the day, anywhere from 7 a.m. till about 3 p.m. is, prime time hours. And if you ever watch a bigger YouTube, or I guess not necessarily YouTube, but Total War streamer, that's when they're streaming, because that's when they're that's when they're able to just potentially reach more people, and it makes sense. So yeah, definitely like will 100% back you up on that. I say Ash and talking in the third person.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, definitely, especially for anyone thinking about streaming or having a rough time of it, just stick with it and look at that stuff. Talk with other people, other communities, other streamers with whatever game you're playing, and get some tips.
Absolutely. So to make the move to Kick, because you said you were on YouTube and then you decided to make the move to Kick, but where did you see Kick? Like for me, like I saw an ad on YouTube and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a go. I'm gonna try a new, like, because I was on Facebook prior, and then I did Twitch, of course, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a go, try it out. Was it the same way? Like, did you see an ad, or like, why did you move the Kick? And how has that journey been so far? Like, has it been good? And have you ever thought about multi-streaming to both Kick and to YouTube?
Yeah. So the same way. I think I was watching a YouTube streamer's VOD, and the commercial for it came on, or the ad or whatever.
Yeah.
And really, like, the reason, on top of that, I think the big reason why I thought I'd give it a go is basically it was like, well, it couldn't be any worse than what's going on YouTube right now. Like, basically,
well,
right before,
that's funny.
like, right before shit hit the fan with Warhammer, which I basically had put in all my eggs into that basket, is where I was at. I was getting for a small streamer, I was getting 15 to 20 people watching, which on YouTube was comparatively to the other smaller streamers was fantastic. Then shit hit the fan and it dropped to like 1 to 5 for like 3 months straight. Didn't matter the time of day. People just were not playing the game. It just tanked in player numbers. And so I was like, well, it honestly, 1 to 5 viewers, it could not be any worse. So like, you know, let's just go on Kick, you know, see what's going on. And honestly, like all things considered, outside of what they've done in terms of other streamers and whatnot, for me personally, it's been fantastic. I mean, I've met you through it. I've met basically every person that I play Call of Duty with has been on it. Discords I've joined has been because of Kick, you know, and so even though in terms of a channel, my channel is definitely not just blowing things out of the water by any means, but the people I've met has been fantastic, you know. Because like at the end of the day, like for the people on Kick that are, you know, playing video games, doing podcasts, like we're all nerds. We're playing video games, you know, like we're all just here doing the same thing, and so it's just cool to be able to unwind and do that here, you know. And it's not and as a streamer compared to YouTube, like YouTube, and who knows, maybe it was just Total War itself, but I always felt like like on YouTube, everyone almost unanimously was like, oh yeah, like let's help each other grow, let's do this. But then, like for me personally, there was a smaller streamer that reached out to me, and like we got really close really fast, and was giving them some tips and tricks on like how to stream, and you know, saying like, oh, this is what I do for my stream, you could do something similar. And this, sorry my language, this fucker just took everything I was doing and just put his name on it. Like, wasn't using like thumbnails and whatnot, but the same outline, same format, play style, you name it, was mine to a T. And I was like, what the hell? And then I started looking around, and it was just more of like, oh yeah, let's do a collab. You know, not with me per se. It was like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do a collaboration, whatever. And no, it was just like a fake, like, oh yeah, let's support each other, but I'm only gonna support you enough where I'm still gonna beat you, you know, kind of atmosphere. But over on Kick, it's just been like, no, we're just supporting you because we want to, you know, like we're just all trying to, whether it's people trying to get into the Kick program or just hanging out because people are nice. Like people, for the most part on Kick, are genuinely just nicer, you know, like.
Yeah, I've met so many nice people through Kick versus like any other platform. I mean, I've met like so many backstabbers on Facebook, and I met so many like horrible trolls like on Twitch. Not saying they're like, not everyone is horrible, but I'm saying like a good amount of horrible people I've met on Kick. And then like, not Kick, but Twitch, sorry. And
no, you're good.
When it came to Facebook, I played with people that like treated me like, once they got partnered, like I knew them before they were partnered, and then they got partnered, and then they didn't give a shit who I was. Like they stopped talking to me, they stabbed me in the back, they just didn't care. So it was just like, with Kick, it feels kind of different. I mean, I've met some pretty iffy people here and there on Kick, not saying, of course, like everyone's not bad, but I've just met some people who just have used me in so many different ways on Kick, where it's like they use me for a certain thing, and then like that's I don't know. Like I met some pretty shady people. Saying
I've had the same experience. Like again, I would say 95%. You know, it's that one person that's gonna ruin it for the whole party. You know, kind of thing. But like by and large, I've had way more positive encounters than negatives. But definitely, I mean, I've had people on Kick, you know, that I was just, you know, browsing through Call of Duty, you know, or just chatting, and I was like, oh, like they're playing a game, but just talking with their chat, you know, see how it is, you know, whatever, just watch them, follow them on Twitter, see what they post. I'm like, hey, these guys are, you know, really nice, you know, like making, you know, in terms of for their community, making positive posts, quotes, you know, go on their Discord, they're saying the same thing. And it's like, okay, cool. And then they're like, oh, like we're open to collaborations. Let's do this. We're doing a community game night. Like, if you want to play, let's sign up. And then every week, it's just the same people over and over.
Yeah, right.
And so, like, and there was one time I reached out and I was like, hey, like, I know you probably don't know me, but like, hey, you want to play? It's like, yeah, like, let's work something out. I'm like, cool. When are you free? And I think it was like on a Tuesday, which I normally don't stream on Tuesdays. But I'm like, okay. I was like, I can make that work. For me, it's a big deal because I have a wife and daughter.
Yeah.
And like, I don't do this full time. So I'm like, hey, like, is it okay? Like, I talked to this streamer. Can we do this on this day? I know it's when I don't usually stream. It's like, yeah, that's fine. So obviously, like, my wife's accommodating for me. Taking like tonight, for example, like she's taking care of our daughter.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And I'm like, all right, like, I'm excited. Try to get the person to work with me.
No, did they like never show up, or did
they just bailed and played with other people?
Dude,
yeah.
I get that.
Yep.
I incredibly get that. Is so bad. That is
like,
so bad.
They use, like, usually when they play with people, they like make a thumbnail like, oh, playing with so and so tonight. So I was like, hey, if you still want to do this, like, do you want to use a thumbnail? Like, what photo, do you want me to use for you? Just send me one you'd like. I'll make it. They're like, yeah, cool. I'm like, here. They're like, here, you can use this one. I'm like, all right. And so I messaged them. I'm like, what do you think of this? Like, am I missing anything you want to add? Kind of put your flavor on it, whatever. Just ignored me. The day of, I'm like, hey, just making sure, we're good to go. They're like, yeah, bro, like, we're good. I'm like, okay, cool. The time came, and then just nothing. Crickets.
Dude.
And I'm like,
oh my God, spill some tea, say their name.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, okay. And at that time, it's, and I don't follow that person anymore because they've done it to several people, and it's just been, like, the person hasn't been a kiss ass, but it's just been like, if you're not a person, it's just one of those people where if you're not there that can advance their streaming platform, they don't give a in reality, there are those people that want to look good on the outside, and they're going to post those positive posts on Discord, on Twitter, whatever, but then at the end of the day, unless you can help them, they don't give a shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just the reality of the situation.
No, I completely get that, because I'm not going to say names, but I'm going to spill some tea. So, like, literally, there's this person on Twitter, and I'm gonna say they, because if I say she or he, then it's gonna give them away.
You're good. I'm not expecting you to spill beans.
Okay, cool. So there's this person on Twitter, and I'm making a post about it because I was so confused by it. I'm like, how is it you never show your face, but yet, like, I don't know why my mic did that. Sorry. I'm like, how come you never show your face, but yet you have such a big following on Twitter? Like, you only play a specific game, and like, you do the same kind of content other people do. Like, how is it you literally post the most minuscule things on Twitter, like literally one sentence, and like you have over 100 likes instantly. And I'm like, how does that I'm sorry, it's just so weird to me. And they're like a KCIP, whatever, like freaking whatever class streamer. And I'm like, how did you get the following that you got? What did you do? Because honestly, it just doesn't make sense to me how you can post literally like one thing and then bam, you get like 100 like likes on it. And like, it like very little effort. No, and I've watched like maybe one or two of the VODs, and it's literally just the most like what anyone can do. Literally what anyone can do. No, and they have like, not saying they don't have a personality, it's just more like, what makes you, like, I asked this to everyone, like, what makes you different from others?
Right.
Like, what gives you that difference from other people? Like, what can you say makes you different? Because, like, for example, like, of course, like, I've asked people in the past that I've had on my streams, I'm like, hey, like, what makes you different? Like, what would you say makes you unique? And what makes you not like likable, what makes you unique.
No, I
Um,
get what you mean.
and it's the same with you that I'm gonna ask you. Like, what would you say is like your one thing or like something that makes you unique amongst like other people? Is what I'm asking, I guess.
No, you're good. You're good. I think, like, it sounds very cliche, um, but like I really feel like for me, since I've had, I guess, my own epiphany about kind of reflecting as to why I'm even streaming in the first place,
Mm,
is I try and be the most genuine streamer I can be, um,
hmm.
and actually, have the backing behind it, and not just say, oh yeah, like, when people, especially when I love meeting new people, for example,
Yeah.
so like if I see a new person, in my chat, whether it's on YouTube or on Kick, because I've started like multi streaming now, because I figured, why not, so especially
Yeah. So you
I
didn't answer the last question. You do multi-stream to
oh
both.
yeah, sorry, okay,
No,
but
you're
like
fine. You're
I
fine.
started doing that like this week, so it's very very new. I apologize, but like,
No, you are fine.
and I think for me, I remember when I first, I guess, like got on YouTube just as a viewer,
Mm,
and be like, oh, like, I mean, it's a relatively small stream that I would watch, because I was like, oh, it's a smaller stream, but they're playing a game I like. Maybe they'll
mm,
answer my question, and like you could just see like they were reading their chat, and you could just see like they were reading over my message over and over
mm,
again, and that was something for me. I'm like, I never, especially when they're like, oh, if you have any questions, feel free to answer it in my live chat or Discord, or message me, whatever. And there was one time where this guy even said like, oh yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. And this was, I mean, this
mm.
was way, way back. This was like 2015. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, so I emailed him, and this dude was basically like, he was like, you should not have permission to email me. This is not my,
What?
like, this is, he's like, I have other people that would answer these questions. I'm too busy to answer this level of question for you. From the
Wow.
future, do not contact me in any way. And I'm
That's
like,
so messed up. That is so messed
yeah.
up.
And I'm like, and so like when I started streaming, I was like, I'm never gonna be that person, like,
Yeah,
if,
no,
if someone if
absolutely.
someone is new here, I was like, first impressions last a lifetime. So
Agreed.
anytime I see
Yeah.
someone new, I meet someone, I want them to know that, hey, if you have a question, you're just starting a game, or
Hmm.
just ask. Like, I want everyone to feel as welcome as possible, because I mean, I do read. I mean, I have both chats pulled up, and whenever I stream, no matter what I'm
Hmm.
playing, and I read it constantly, because I want, I never want someone to feel the way I felt with being ignored, especially in a small stream. Like, I get, some streamers that have a couple hundred, couple thousand people, watching and messaging. Obviously, the chat gets out of hand. But, I'm never in a stream. And to this day, I don't follow. It's not that I don't follow people because of they're too big. But, like, anyone I currently follow on any platform, they're not to the point where, their chat is just exploding and they don't read messages. And so, yeah, I think that's where I try and separate myself from streamer, but also, like, when it comes to Total War, I've played
Hmm.
a lot of it, so I like to think I'm pretty good at the game.
Yeah.
Basically, so like,
Yeah.
I don't make, from an actual gamer aspect.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I'm shit in that game, and so when I play
Yeah.
that game, especially like if someone's new and has a question, like, feel free to ask, kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
and even like, there was one time, for example, I did a huge collaboration um, on YouTube with like two big streamers in the Total War community. And one of them, had kind of been that shady, like, oh yeah, like, go check the LemonPledge out. He's a good guy. And then he was in that stream, because it was like, basically one streamer started a campaign, then he sent that save file to another streamer, and so on and so on. And so it was just a huge, like, Total War community, like, coming together and just watching this one campaign being played by four other streamers. And some bigger name streamers popped in, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't even realize like you were this good at the game." I'm like, "Yeah, like I'm not dumb. I've been playing it since I was 7 years old. I'd like to think, that I can know what I'm doing."
Yeah.
But when it comes to like Call of Duty, I play Baldur's Gate 3 occasionally offline, and I'm not good at that by any means.
We got to play that together. I literally
I'm
played
down.
like an hour of it, and I was bored playing by myself.
Oh yeah,
So
it's so fun with a group.
yeah,
Um,
I don't have many people that I usually play with. So
yeah, no, it's a good game. I'm still, my brother has gotten pretty busy with work, but he and I had started 2 playthroughs together, and it's been a blast.
oh yeah,
Especially like he had played a playthrough already, and I hadn't. And so he was like, "Hey, like, where do you want to go next?" I'm like, "Oh, let's try here." And he was just like, "Okay, let's do it." And we'd go into a situation and just get absolutely destroyed, and be like, "Dude, what the hell?" And so he's like, "I didn't want it to ruin it for you." I'm like, "All right, well, next time, like, if it's just gonna waste our time, like, because there were some fights where it took us like 3 hours to win, and it was like, yeah, that's a long time, but it was so worth it when we did." But I was like, "Hey, the next time we might run into a situation where we're gonna have a 3-hour fight. Tell me so we can at least cut it down to like an hour." Like,
yeah, yeah,
but yeah, like, yeah. So coming all the way back to your initial question,
yes,
I guess for me as a streamer, um, that I guess that'd be my biggest takeaway is I try and be as genuine. Depending on the game, I'm pretty knowledgeable, and I just want everyone to feel, even if they don't want to talk about the game, like my live chat is a place where if you want to talk about your day while I just occasionally play, a video game and do a thing here too, let's do it. Like I just want people to come, hang out, have a good time, be able to be themselves and not feel like their voice is not heard.
Mhm.
There's so many streamers out there, not just in Total War, but any game where it's like, oh, if you want to be really good at the game, you have to do this. Or
Yeah.
like, oh, if you're not doing this, then you're just garbage, like whatever. Like some people just want to play the game because they enjoy the game, and there are not a lot of streamers, I feel like gaming streamers that are like that. So that's where I try and fit in.
Yeah, no, I feel like that is something that we have in common because I'm basically the same way. I love getting to know. That's like why I started the streamer supposition Saturdays.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get to know people. I wanted to like, sit down and chat with them, get to know them on a different level.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, so that's like one of the reasons because I just want to show people that I love getting to know others, and I'm basically the same exact way as you. I love sitting and chatting with people. They can talk about whatever as long as it's not too pro, like it's not too like racist or discrimination.
No, you're good.
Yeah, it's nothing too overly bad.
Gee, I hope I haven't been racist today. Like damn.
I hope not today.
Not today. I mean, censored myself for this one. So.
But no, like I completely get that. But for me, of course, like thank you so much for sharing, like
Yeah,
your uniqueness. I guess like I know this stream is mainly about to talk about you. I know sometimes I'm going to talk about me a little bit, but that also leads into a different conversation typically. But for me, like I would say my uniqueness or something that kind of like is different from other streamers is that not only do I like to be genuine, I like to be authentic, but I also like I'm the type of person like if you message me, I message back like so quick.
Yep.
Because I feel like my brain is like, bro, like, you have to message back quick. Like people are gonna be like, what the hell are they doing? So I'm like a quick like I at least respond within like give me like an hour.
Right.
Like because I like making that connection, like showing that I like it may show that I'm not busy, but even when I am busy, when I'm driving, I'll still answer the damn message.
Oh, no.
Like it's bad. Not saying driving and texting is good. Don't do that, guys. Texting and driving is bad. But like sometimes I'll just like see it when I'm like at a stoplight and I'm like I need to answer back. But I also like am very open to my community. So like of course every day you see my tweets every single day. I'm posting about like what I'm doing throughout the day, what my plans are, because I like being super open with people. I like showing like who I truly am. And of course like how you've also like with my tweets, Like I tweet about everything because I love sharing my life with people and making them feel like they can be a part of my life as much as like I want to be a part of theirs too.
Right.
Um, because like they like for the ones who are in my streams and everything, like I yeah. But anyways,
No,
but
you're. I think.
besides that,
I think
oh sorry, go
that's
ahead.
it's. I think that's definitely a good thing. Like, I don't think you should ever. Not that you are, but like ever feel bad about like replying fast or,
Mhm.
talking about your day, whether it's on, Twitter or X, Twitter, whatever, Discord. 'Cause yeah, not that you or me are this type of way, but you know, streamers are people. They have good
Mhm.
days, they have bad days. They have a life, whether they're full time or part time or anything in between. Like they still have a life outside of streaming. It's not just
Yeah.
wake up, go to the
Such as
bathroom, turn on
rainbow
a
and
stream. Yeah,
sunshines.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. Oh, they're a huge kick streamer or they're a huge YouTuber. Like they just get to wake up and piss money. Like no,
Yeah, yeah.
like there's a lot of stuff. Like I know of a lot of Total War streamers that I've gotten close with that are do it full time and that's like their living. I mean, yeah, it's playing a video game, but like when they're making videos, those guys are working 14, 15-hour days. They're
Mhm.
streaming, they're making a video, they're editing it,
Mhm.
um, they're working on video scripts. They're practicing. For me, for example, when I've done like game update reviews that have been like 45 minutes long, I've recorded that thing 3 or 4 times. It's taken me a week to do it and then edit it just because, I slip up here or I make a script and I go through it. I'm like halfway through it or wherever I'm at in the video. I'm like, oh, maybe it would actually be better to, move this around to this part of the video. So then I,
Yeah.
have to delete it, start again, see how it feels. So like it takes a long time
Dude,
to get
I don't
comfortable
know
with
how you
that.
do it. I hate hearing my I that is why I never edit video editing. Like I have edited videos in the past, but like I hate hearing my voice so much. Even during a podcast, like when I'm sitting here having to listen to myself talk, I'm like, how do people deal with this? Why? Um, but no, yeah, like I think being authentic, being genuine is so
Right.
important. Um, but also like I guess like technically another unique thing about me is I've taken American Sign Language and I like to
Nice.
use ASL sometimes in my streams because I feel like there's a huge like language barrier for people, and I think people should learn different languages just to kind of get like broaden their horizons. And like I don't know, like I feel like there needs to be more streamers out there who can speak multiple languages because they can like not only be like share their story with one audience, but they can share their story with multiple. Um, and I think it's like great that people can do. Not saying like you're a horrible, don't know what it's more like I like I like knowing that I can touch lives
Right.
in another language in like another like way more than just like speaking English or like yeah. Um
No, for sure. Like
also
it's
like
I mean
being a
that's
female gamer in the gaming industry too is like a big thing too. So
oh yeah.
it's like I'm very competitive. I've been competitive for the longest time, and I would say I'm very good at every shooter game I've played. I'm
Yep.
not saying I'm the best, but I am very motivated. I'm very skilled at getting to know like the game itself. Like when I play it, I'll like get very motivated to play it more and like become really good at it right away because I know how to shoot a gun in the game. I know how to
Right.
use like my skills. So it's like that's another thing with me. Like I can become like a fast learner. I'm a very quick learner. Um, so yeah, anyways.
Yeah, no, I was the same with Call of Duty. Like I had played Call of Duty in the past and whatnot. It wasn't like I just decided to randomly download the game or anything. It was kind of like riding a bike basically. It just took time to get used to it again. But, and it's something where I'm like, damn, I was like, I'm actually like I guess the biggest thing when I started Call of Duty was my guns were obviously trash, and so it's like okay, but then I started getting some attachments. I was like okay, this is pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's like guns getting a little better. I'm getting more kills, and then I'm like shit. The next thing I knew, it was 3 weeks and I hadn't even played Total War. And I'm like,
Mhm.
wow. I was like, why haven't I? I was like, I'm really itching, to play. Like, what's going on? I go to Steam account. Last played 3 weeks ago. I'm like, oh. I'm like, okay, And then so like I always go in these highs and lows of just binging. Like, oh man, I was like, Call of Duty, man. I was like, the last few games with my friends have been fantastic. Here we go. And I was like, you know what? I kind of miss, my Total War community. I was like, I want to
Yeah.
stream with them. And then I'm like, oh shit. I was like, I go live doing Total War, and then I see my Call of Duty friend group going live, and they're having a blast there too. And I'm like, I just want to do everything. Like there just needs to be 6 monitors here where I can play both games in between and just burn out doing that. But at least I'll have fun doing it. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like
Uh,
it's just
Wait, yeah, I was gonna give a quick shout out to my dude, Ruben, because he's the one that actually came up with all these questions. He's the one that like
nice,
does the questions for me.
nice.
Um, like of course, like I go through them afterwards just to
Oh
make
yeah,
sure
of
it
course,
looks
yeah.
good. But of course, like shout out to Ruin. He's in the chat right now. He's like my mod, so he's been very helpful. He's been super awesome.
Yeah.
But Coca sent more. I mean, Legend helped a bit. Like he
I
helped
mean,
a bit too.
Ruin
Like
gave me a follow so over on K, so thank you, man. I do appreciate that, and
yeah,
100%.
Ruin is great. Yeah.
Another skull to the skull throne as well, man. I'm glad we got some Warhammer nerds over there in
Oh yeah.
Ashie's chat.
Ruin is a big nerd in general.
Nice, I love that.
He's a um so what is like the best part? Like why is it that you like to stream? Like what is the best part about streaming to you? Of course besides networking, because we did go over that, the whole networking,
Right.
getting to know people and everything. But what about it helps you to want to keep grinding? And tell us about your stream philosophy. Like what is your outlook when it comes to like streaming and your goals?
I guess goals would probably be the easiest thing to look through to start with. I guess. I guess like overall, like obviously just keep growing. Um, whether I don't really care what platform it would be, whether it be Kick or YouTube, but just growing. So like my biggest goal is just to have my chat flowing. Like I know there will be lulls in it for sure. Especially because you obviously can't control other people's schedules, that kind of thing. But regardless of what's going on, just a steady flow of chatters. That way, it just keeps the live chat lively. Whether it's me and a handful of people talking, or if I'm in a fight, if I'm playing Total War, if I'm in a fight, but people are chatting amongst themselves, that's probably my big goal. For either channel is just growing there, because as much as I love networking, which kind of leads into like why, what drives me behind it, is because whether it's someone I know, and so whether someone comes in, say you decide to pick up Warhammer tomorrow and start watching my Warhammer streams, and you start asking people questions, but like everyone will have a different take on the game in some way, shape, or form. So even though that I've been playing Total War games since I was 7 years old, I'm not that knowledgeable about Warhammer, even though between two games I've put in about 5,000 hours. Um, but like just I think as much as the networking thing for me is what drives me, to keep streaming every day, because I never know like who's gonna pop into my chat. Whether it's on YouTube or Kick, I never know if some random streamer might host me, might raid me. I might meet, it could be a dead stream, but Joe Schmo off the street, and I have a great conversation for 30 minutes or an hour. So that constant, like, I never know who I'm going to meet today is very exciting to me. Because I am a very social, talkative person. And I know if I say, hey, if someone hypothetically, checks out my channel on Tuesday or Thursday, and it's like, oh, LemonPledge doesn't stream those days, but he's streaming the next day. So I'm going to come back at that stream time, and if I'm not there, then that's my one opportunity that I could have made a friendship with that person, and interacted with them. And so I think that's what drives me to stream is is the desire, I guess, need, I guess, depending as you look at it as a streamer, to continue networking. Because as soon as you stop having that desire to, talk with people, to meet with new people as a streamer, you know, just play offline, at that point, like don't stream that day, or, and so, yeah, it's definitely, excuse me. I think just the not knowing what's going to happen on a stream, I love that spontaneity of it all.
Hell yeah. I get that because like not just the whole surprise of it
Right.
too.
For sure.
I get
And I
that.
mean, and like for me, like the cool thing with Warhammer is that I see Ruin's message is like Warhammer has so much lore behind it. Like so much. And for me, it's been awesome because I know absolutely nothing about it. And so like when DLCs come out or leaks are given or people come in the chat and they start talking about it, I have no idea what they're talking about, and I love it because I'm learning. Like there was I can't remember the name of it, but there was a mod I played with where you would click on like a certain character or certain settlement in the game, and like a little tooltip. It was basically like a fantasy historical post would come up and just talk to you about what happened here, at this time or whatever. And so it's just little things like that I love learning about that stuff. And so, again, in terms of why I want to stream, whether it's Call of Duty or Total War, it doesn't matter. Like, I never know who's going to come in there and, drop some, Socrates level wisdom on me in whatever game I'm playing. And so, yeah, it makes it really fun.
Yeah, I honestly, when it comes to Warhammer, I wish I could get into it. I where like when I have so many different things I want to get into, it's like I need to like keep track, and I'm trying to not dip my toe into something else whenever I dip my toe in so many different things.
It's something like when I started, it was not something I thought was this deep. I thought it was like, oh, it's a fantasy game. There's a few other races, whatever. I was like, but at the end of the day, it's a Total War game. You're going to have your good guys. You're going to have your bad guys. You're going to kill things. You're going to move on. And I'm like, there's that. But it's kind of like the tip of the iceberg where all of that stuff is just what's on top of the water, and everything else is stuff you can't see, which is really cool.
Oh, yeah. It's like when it comes to, like, for example, card games. When I got into like the Pokemon TCG, that's what I got into. And then what is the other one? It's what is the other popular card game? Not Yu-Gi-Oh. Magic the Gathering. Yep. Like I could not like someone tried to teach me that, and I just could not understand like how it works.
Yeah. I mean, that was like for me with Baldur's Gate 3. Like I never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, neither have I. I've been meaning to, but I just have not been able to because I don't have enough people. Like I literally don't know enough people to play it.
Yeah, like I was just like, oh, this cool, like graphically, and the things you do in it look really fantastic. But like everyone's talking about like the actual backbone to the game, revolving around Dungeons and Dragons, and like why this is in the game, why it's not in the game, so on and so forth. And I'm like for me, it's not that I didn't care about it, but like, I didn't understand that perspective because I didn't grow up playing Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I mean? I was just playing a cool video game that looked fun and interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you give me like a random like funny fact about the lore when it comes to Warhammer?
Oh man.
I'll give you time to think on that.
I'm trying to think of something funny. Because, like, in hindsight, it's like an apocalyptic universe where the bad guys win. So, I'm trying to think of something funny. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm going to have to get back to you. I can't, like, right now, put me on the spot.
It's all good.
Um,
It's
yeah. There's not
all
a lot of
like
like. It's kind of hard to think of like Warhammer and funny
mm,
because everything dies. So like, in some way, shape, or form, it's like, yeah, this like good person does this, but then they die. You know, like so it's like, oh, how do you make that funny? But yeah.
No, I gotcha. So we may have to wrap it up a little early. I know said 9 p.m. EDT time. It
Oh,
is
you're good. You're good.
8:40, which is like 20 minutes early.
Yeah.
Only because like I have someone possibly coming to pick me up so we can go to the bar.
There you go. Yeah. No worries. No worries.
So I thought let's end it with like anyone you want to thank, supporter wise, or like friends or anything in general like you would like to thank. I also give you full permission to put like to tag them as well in my chat, or anything in general. Like if you ever want to like, yeah, anyone you want to thank or anything.
Yeah. I mean, okay, this is gonna sound cliche too, but definitely, like my wife. When I had started talking to her about doing something like this, I mean, she didn't grow up playing video games, so
Mhm.
for me to say, hey, I'm gonna try and do this and play video games, and people are gonna watch me, she was like, okay, like sure, whatever. But in terms of my community, two names definitely come to mind. Um, One, and I know both of them haven't been here tonight because I know we talk pretty consistently.
Mhm.
Um, but their names are Styric Shadow Wolf and Marcus Wilfart. Um, I know they got a lot going on in their lives, but um, for a long, long time, Styric was both of them were always in my YouTube streams. Even if they were the only ones there, when I was having a bad day, those guys were always there. And because he was able to financially, Marcus has gone above and beyond in terms of memberships. I think at one time when I had everything enabled between Kick, Patreon, and YouTube, he was a member on all of them.
Mhm.
He would do super chats on YouTube. He's done donations on Kick. I mean, this guy has gone above and beyond. If he was a streamer himself, I'd probably give him access to my account and let him stream.
That's awesome.
He's done so much for me, and of course I know I've had people help me with streaming setups. One from the Total War community is definitely a big name streamer, Legend of Total War. He's and I have had a few conversations throughout the last few years, and his advice has been basically sound. So yeah, definitely a huge shout out to them. I know for a few times they have been the reasons that I've continued streaming. So yeah, thank you all, especially thank you all to them, but also not to, not to put anyone else in the corner. Thank you all for everyone that has supported me so far on YouTube, Kick, over on Discord, Twitter, whatever it may be. I fully understand that not everyone has the financial means, and really, I don't care about that. It's if you're able to be there, whether you're lurking, you're chatting, just the fact that you're there. I mean, there are millions of streamers out there that you could be watching, and you're here watching me. So thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day to hang out with me, and yeah, just thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Really quickly, I'm gonna go ahead write your name on the board of boards
Yeah, let's do it.
right behind me because I have it under coming, but I might as well go ahead and write your name. I've been meaning to finally write your name on that board. Is there any like specific color you want your name to be up there? Because I just kind of like, is there a specific color that you like?
I mean, blue's my favorite color, but if you don't have a blue marker, it's
Dude, I have
okay.
I have many different colors. Do you want it to be like a teal, or do you want it to be like a blue, or like a Like a lighter blue or
whatever floats your boat.
whatever.
Whatever floats your boat.
Okay.
I ain't gonna
Give me
be picky.
1 second. Let me just do that real quick.
No, you're good. Ruined, you freaking goon. What are you doing over there with that? Thank you for the gifted, dude. I appreciate you. Twerky, welcome to being a pledge. Thank you, man. Oh, man, look at that. Would you just look at it?
All right, and you are officially on the board of boards.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
I
call it the board of boards. It says board of buds, but I call it the board of boards.
Board of boards. I like it. I like it.
Yes. But awesome. It was awesome having you here.
Yes,
I would
thank
totally
you very
love
much for
to
having me.
we could definitely play or something sometime for sure. Yeah, we'll figure something out. I know your story where you're like, oh, a streamer told you that we'll figure something out, and then you did,
Yeah.
and then they did that to you. But I promise you, like, we will figure something out.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyways, have a wonderful night.
Yes, you too.
Thank you everyone that watched. And I wanted to ask, is there like any specific person you wanted me to raid out to before I go? Anyone like that you could think of to check out, to raid out to, or?
Let me check Kick.
Yeah.
I don't have anything specific. I'm gonna take like a 5-minute break and then probably play Call of Duty. I haven't played it since the update because I've heard a bunch of people complain about it. But
yeah. So are you gonna keep going? Like, are you gonna stay live?
Yeah. I'm just gonna stay live.
Then
put it on pause and then.
So you're gonna completely stay live. So if I raid it out to you, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then I'll raid out to Lemon, guys.
Right. Cool,
Make sure to go give him a follow, show him some love. Have a good night, Lemon.
All right, you too. Appreciate you. All right. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ruin. Thank you, Papa Harris, for the follow, guys. Appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you guys are having a good time. All right. I need to figure out. So I'm multi-streaming right now. Thank you, Ashie, for the raid. Thank you again for that. The trick is gonna be, how do I end my YouTube stream without ending my Kick one? You're gonna go to the bar. Hey, have a drink for me. I'm gonna make one, and here in a little bit. But thank you, Ash, again for having me on the podcast. It was a great time. I enjoyed it a lot, so thank you, and have a good time at the bar. All right. I wonder if, because I have it set up. Which, let's get some tunes in here while we I figure this out. All right. Excuse me. I think I should be able to end it over here on the tubes because I think I'm gonna have frame issues over here. Alright, let's turn the tube off there. If it does end it on Kick, I just want to say I will be like right back immediately, everyone. So yeah, just be aware of that. If it accidentally ends it, I will be up like momentarily. So let's see what goes on.